Welcome everybody to the call tonight. I'm super excited to be supporting you Eastern Soul sisters out there, and I'm excited to share my story. And so anyways, my name's Michelle Ball, and I first heard about Juice Plus about 5 years ago. And for a whole year, I really was extremely skeptical. And so I'm a high school science teacher as a background. And I thought that people should just be eating their fruits and vegetables the real way. And I just really didn't see a need for powdered fruits and vegetables when my family was super good at eating. It wasn't uncommon for my kids to ask for salad on pizza nights, and they would eat Brussels sprouts and green beans. And so when my friend Sandy was sharing it with me, I just thought, why would I waste extra money every month on something we're already doing right? And so this will be a common thing that you guys will probably come across when you share Juice Plus with others. And for me, it was my son Lincoln was getting tonsil infections, and they had been getting as frequent as every 2 months. And I was just totally done with the medical intervention. As a science background, I just kept taking it back to the doctor, and we would do a 10-day cycle of amoxil followed by Advil Tylenol every 3 hours to control his fever. And that was the only thing I knew how to do. So I decided that it was time to get his tonsils taken out, because as a result of all that chemical going into his body, I was starting to see other things that I was concerned about, such as behavior issues, aggression, a really bad attention span, that kind of thing. And my instinct was, we need to get these tonsil infections to stop. And so my solution with my science background was a tonsillectomy. So I was telling my friend Sandy, I knew a doctor that would do it. It's kind of like a black market thing. You have to know the right doctor because they don't like to do it. And she said to me, you know, Michelle, that I love Lincoln too, right? And I knew immediately that she was going to talk about Juice Plus again. So I'm like, okay, is this where you insert Juice Plus? And she laughed and she's like, yes. And honestly, like, I don't know why you wouldn't just give it a try. She's like, it's fruits and vegetables. It's researched. You're a science girl. And just what if it actually did work? Can you imagine if fruits and vegetables were the solution and you didn't have to put them under the knife? And that wording just totally smartened me up. I thought, what am I really doing? Like, you know, I really should try this. I still thought it was probably a waste of money. I still thought it wouldn't work, but my moral compass said, I better try before I actually cut his throat out, you know, like that's pretty extreme. And so I thought I would cancel in 4 months, but she gave it to me that day to get started, and I brought it home, and Lincoln loved it right away. And within about 3 weeks, he got an infection, but fought it for the first time in his entire life by himself without any medical intervention. And so I was like, wow, this stuff's amazing. Fast forward 4 years. It took me a year to get on the product. So we've been on the product for 4 years now. And Lincoln has never had a fever. He has never needed antibiotics for his throat. It totally smartened up his immune system. And also, as a result of increasing his whole food nutrition, decreasing the level of chemicals and all those antibiotics that were continuously wiping out his gut, I have seen massive improvements with his behavior, with his attention span. He is not aggressive at all in any way, shape, or form anymore. He's very empathetic, compassionate, gentle boy. And I really have to attribute that to whole food nutrition in chewable form. You know, it really was the only thing we changed. So I became a lifer as soon as I started seeing the difference for Lincoln. And because I'm a talker, I'm a connector, I just naturally share things that work for me with others. I had people ready to start the product right away. And so I brought these 2 customers over to Sandy and said, I've got some more customers for you. And she was so smart. And I always tell this part of the story because this is key. Number 1, she said to me, okay, well, I'm wondering, the smartest thing would probably be to sign you up as a distributor so you can get a discount. But it's totally up to you. Either you can have the discount or I can take your discount. And that wording really gave me a fear of loss. And so I was like, okay, I definitely want the discount, but do I have to do anything with this? Like, Sandy, I swear to goodness, if you get me into this and then all of a sudden I've got monthly minimums and all this crazy stuff. And she's like, no, it's $50 to sign up. You do whatever you want, as little or a lot, up to you. And you'll just get a little bit back each month. And then this was the other very key thing she said to me, because I'm a type A and I'm very competitive. She said, and also, just so you know, I know you're not doing anything with this. So she let me off the hook. But just so you know, if you got 7 more customers, you would get this VF level. And what that means is about, $500 or $600 in your account. And then this was the zinger right here. She said, and that's what all the other girls on my team do. But anyways, it's up to you. And so I'm like, oh, I'm so competitive. Like, you've got to be kidding me. If that's what all those other girls are doing, I'm going to have to do that. It's so annoying. And I actually thought to myself, you know what? There's 7 or 8 people I wanted to call about this anyways, because it's such an incredible product. And now this just gives me the fire to do it. So I did that. I didn't tell her I was going for VF, and she phoned me one day. Oh my God, you got to VF. Like, well, and I just played dumb. I was like, oh, really? Like, wow, that's cool. And really, I knew exactly what I was doing, but I didn't want her to get excited about me or excited about me actually taking the business seriously, because I did not see network marketing as something that I wanted or needed, or even thought I was interested in doing, because deep down, you know, I was a high school science teacher, and I had a little bit of, I'm too cool to do a home-based business. And so you'll probably come across that lots in recruiting people, especially people who have a career already and who seem to have found their place. Like, they'll be like, yeah, right. As if I'm going to sell fruits and vegetables in a capsule. Like, that's ridiculous. Right. And so that was me. So here's the other key thing she did. She's like, hey, like, I know that you're not doing anything with this business. So that was key. But we've got this girls' weekend out in the mountains, and I was wondering if you wanted to come. We're going to drink a lot of wine, and when's the last time you got away from your kids? And she's like, I'll even pay for your ticket. It'll just be so fun to have you there. I'm tired of, you know, missing out on that time with you. And to be honest, so was I. All my friends would go to these Juice Plus things, and I was so stubborn I wouldn't go. So I finally decided to go to this one. Told her, I swear, I don't want to do anything with this, Sandy. She's like, yeah, but at the very least, you'll get some cool Juice Plus knowledge. Like, you love the product. And I thought, yeah, that's true. So she showed me the value outside of the business and tricked me into going to an event, basically. And that's so key. You get, like, that's what I always say to people. How do you get a working leg? You get them to VF, then you get them to an event. That's your job. No matter, like, you move mountains to do that. So she did that, and I got there, and oh, lo and behold, who's speaking from the main stage but Carrie and Mickey Daigle? Like, for real? Are you kidding me? And so I hear Carrie speaking, and Carrie is still to this day one of my biggest mentors. And he's going on and on about, you know, how great his life is and how he didn't want this business. He thought it was a joke, but then his wife started out earning him, and it quickly started to become their business, not her business. And he said, I promote fighters. Like, I am a boxing promoter. And I used to have to take every fighter that came across my desk. I didn't like to, but it was how I was paying the bills. Now, because of this Juice Plus business, and he alluded to the lifestyle he was making, and I guessed that he was making about 50 grand a month just by guessing from what he was saying. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like $50,000 per month? That's obscene. And he said, you know, sorry, my daughter just came out. He said, now what I get to do is I still do my passion. I love boxing promotion. It's who I am. It's what I do. But I only take the fighters that I have a feeling about. I only do the fights that I want to do. And I was just working with him down in San Antonio this summer, and he's still promoting boxing, you guys. He's like a multi-million-dollar earner with the Juice Plus company, and he still promotes fighters. He's got a 20-time undefeated amateur boxer coming up the ranks. And I loved watching that he was still passionate about it. And this business just gave him the choice for whatever he wanted in his life. Ava, really? Come here and say hi, at least, if you're going to interrupt.
Hi.
I'm being recorded, you know.
So, can I make my mini baker's thing?
Not right now.
Please?
No, you can't, honey. I have to finish this call.
Please?
No, you cannot. They want to bake while I'm out here on the deck doing this call. Go talk to Gracie and don't bug me again.
She knows how to make one.
If she's supervising it, then yes. Okay, sorry guys. And so anyways, in the long and the short of it, after learning from Carrie Daigle at that event, I thought, okay, he is way cooler than me. Like, there's no doubt. This guy was like a mafia guy. He was so cool. And I thought, if he's doing this business, then I certainly can. I'm just some high school teacher. Like, what's my problem? And so I decided I was going to get serious about it. And I thought, oh my gosh, this could be what I'm looking for. Because deep down inside, I did not want to go back to work, but I had just lost $2,000 per month in maternity leave because it had run out. And I didn't know how we were really going to survive without that income. And I didn't know what I was going to do without having any spending money of my own. And that's another key point to mention too, that women, motivated women, if you catch them in a transition period of their life, whether they're just about to come on to maternity leave, they're just about coming off of maternity leave, they're changing jobs, they might be briefly unemployed, or they're in a position where they absolutely hate their job. Oh, like cha-ching, 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 that's money. That's the only thing I've ever determined is a massively good distributor. A motivated, career-driven woman, whatever it is that she does. Maybe she is a homemaker, but she does that damn well. You know what I mean? Like people that can do it all. If you catch them in a transition time, that is a woman worth pursuing hardcore. Like, I mean, to the point of annoyance, like begging them to come to events, paying for their ticket. There was a time where I saw something in a woman like that, and I actually used my air miles and flew her to an event because I needed her there that badly. Like those are the kinds of things you do with women that are 10 out of 10 or men that are 10 out of 10 prospects. You just move mountains to get them to an event so they can catch the vision. So that was me. I was in a transition time. And so it was just perfect timing. And I decided I was going to get to sales coordinator for sure, which was next. We got there quickly, like maybe 4 weeks later, and it was super exciting. And everybody was like sending me messages and calling me and congratulating me, all this recognition. And my top love language is words of affirmation. So you can imagine, I don't know if anyone's ever read that book. It's called The 5 Love Languages. And it's a really valuable book to read as a business owner as well, because you learn very quickly how to interact with people in their top love language and you don't waste any time. For example, if someone gave me a gift, that's really nice and I don't devalue it, but it doesn't mean love to me. What means love to me is words. And so in this business, you can imagine how full I felt because words of affirmation were just flying everywhere around me. And I felt so fulfilled for the first time in a long time. So we got to sales coordinator and I was earning about $500 a month. And I decided, okay, there's a boot camp coming up. And as you guys know, if you're, have heard of boot camps, they are like basically like a high school or college education to our business. And so I was really excited. I had my notebook all ready to go, my everything all packed. And I was married with kids at the time. And we were a family of 6. And my husband behind closed doors was an alcoholic. And I kept that well hidden from the real world. I just, my life looked perfect on Facebook. But he relapsed the day before our event. And I was faced with, you guys, where I froze, but I was about to go to a boot camp. Then I was faced with a big challenge. My whole world kind of imploded on me. And I didn't know whether I could even go to the boot camp, let alone if I could continue this. Can you see the messy kitchen and the baking? Say hi, guys.
Hi!
Okay. It's like organizing day in here. Craziness. Okay, it should be good in here. Let me just catch a light for you. Okay.
Spatula!
What a call. Okay. So I went to this event and the trainer there, it was written in the stars looking back, but the trainer at this next event was Wendy Campbell. And if you guys know, I came from Carrie Daigle, then the next trainer was Wendy Campbell. And it was just like, whoa, you know what I mean? Just so serendipitous and stars were aligning for me to see the vision in this business. And she didn't know my story at all. Obviously, she was a stranger to me and she was just up doing her training. And she was sharing about a challenge she had in her life very, very vulnerably. And she just came over and touched my shoulder in the middle of her thing. And she said, one thing I've learned is you never let him take your dream. And I just fell to pieces because that's exactly what I was considering doing. I was considering going back to teaching, not raising my children, everything I'd always dreamed about out the window because of somebody else's choices. And so that was a message straight from above for me. And I decided that I was going to do everything in my power to make this business work. And if at the very worst it didn't, I could go back to teaching then. But I needed to actually take a leap. So I filled out my substitute teaching forms and I filled out a massive prospect list and I started picking up that heavy phone. And I just did everything in my power to build my team, to just get this all done. And so it was 12 months from that point that we got to national marketing director. And at that level, it gave me the opportunity to stay home with ease. I had replaced my teaching income, full medical benefits for my family, which obviously as a teacher I was used to, and Christmas bonus every year of $1,000, which honestly is how I put gifts under the tree for those first couple of years for sure. And a family, a community, a village to raise my children with. And for me was the most valuable piece to the puzzle, is that as a single mom, which I never planned on being, I needed that. I really needed people to rally around me and my kids and show them, what life was actually about, not suffering, thriving, and being positive. And and supporting one another. And I think that's very hard to find. I grew up in a very small town of 1,000 people on a farm. So I had that growing up. But when you move into the city and you build your life there, it's harder to find. And I really think that's such a unique gift that we can offer people. And so that really was the beginning for me. And this is such a crazy night. Now I'm getting a message from my daughter's friend, Mom. Is she still there? Usually it's 9, right? And my kids are in bed, so it's much quieter. So you guys are like in the thicket of it with me. Yeah. So anyways, that was cool. And at that point, I kind of drug a lot of people with me. So people did me favors. They signed up. Yeah, sure. You need a rep. What do you need? I'll help you out. I kind of drug a lot of people kicking and screaming that really weren't ready for the business. And I got to NMD, and that was great. I needed the bonus. I needed the title. I needed the recognition. I needed the medical benefits, and it needed to be done. But I got seriously stuck after getting to NMD. I was a 12 club. I still continued to work my butt off. I never, ever took my foot off the gas, but I couldn't. Every time I would get a new qualifier, one would fall out. Every time I would get a new leg, one would fall off. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? And I finally figured out there was a couple of things that I had to change. Number one, I listened to Eric Worre, Go Pro, and I recognized that I was behaving as an amateur network marketer. And I decided that was enough. So I decided to go pro. And if you have not read that book or listened to the audio, you need to. It is so good. I listened to it probably at least 5 times, and chapter 7, the chapter on inviting, probably 7 or 8 times, making notes and really revamping everything. So that was one thing that changed for me. Another thing that happened is I recognized that I was doing everything for everybody. For example, if I was there at a house party, then everybody would invite as hard as they could and they would get 30 customers from it. But if I wasn't there, they wouldn't even have the confidence to do the house party. And so the reason I got stuck is simply this. I only had a certain amount of time in a day. And so I was still trading my time for money. And I only had that certain amount of time, right? So I had enough time to have 12 qualifiers, and that's it. I had enough time to actually earn about $3,000 to $4,000 a month, and that's it. So I needed to create a system. And that's when we came up with Team Synergy Inspires, which I know you guys are using a similar system. So that system is the holy grail to me. Anytime any one of my team members veers off of it, I do some hardcore, very stern coaching around get back to the system. You literally cannot make residual income without a system. You have to have a startup meeting. You have to have a place that people can go where they know how to talk to a prospect. It's so important. Unless you want to just have another job, you can have another job. So how did you get your team to do that? I just had a meeting with every one of them. If they weren't willing to go pro with me and use a system, then I wasn't willing to give them a lot of my time, to be honest. Because it was just like, have you ever heard the term asshole? If you're an asshole on my team, then I don't give you more advice to put in the hole. Sorry. And people, like, you ask and then you don't use it and you put it in a hole and bury it. Yeah. And so people that wanted to do it with me, then they got my time, right? And I wanted to recruit new as well. And recruiting new into the system is a gift because you don't even have to retrain. You just show them the system and that's all they ever know, right? And so when we started using that system, we all decided to go pro. And then we started sponsoring up. And what I mean by that is we all have a secret rating of ourselves. Like we think we're whatever out of 10, 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, whatever it is. So I decided I wanted to start recruiting women that were better than me. And I was scared shitless of them. I'm not going to lie. It was very intimidating to go to those women who I thought already had their poop in a group and didn't need this. But Kerry Daigle called me out and he said, Michelle, he's like, I've got to be honest. If you're not going to those kinds of people, then you don't believe in our business. And I was like, oh my gosh. It just was like this huge awakening for me that I didn't have enough belief around our business and marketing plan because I was stuck, right? And so if you don't believe that you can do it, how can you go out there and share the vision with other people? So I just pretended that I believed in it. I knew that other people had done it. So I just really corrected myself on the fact that, no, this is for everybody. And if they say no, that means nothing as in terms of what they think I'm doing. It just means it's not a fit for them right now. So we started recruiting 10 out of 10s. We started using the Go Pro approach and then the website. And literally in 1 year, I was stuck at 12 club, and a year later I hit 100 club. And so it's still blowing up with massive momentum. So it really, truly is those three things. And at this point, I mean, the choices and options and lifestyle that this business has allowed us is absolutely like incredible. I mean, it's just unreal. I have a new story every summer, because summer is when we really, like, my kids' school actually hinders our lifestyle a lot, which is hilarious to me. Like, oh, I really want a holiday year round, but my kids have school, right? So in the summer, we get to have this great lifestyle because I have the income to match, you know, almost anything I want to do at this point, which is so crazy. And this summer we went out and rented a $160,000 boat on Lake Kalamalka in the Okanagan. And the water is like as clear as you can imagine. And coming from Alberta, that's a gift. Like, our lakes in Alberta are disgusting, you guys. Like, if you put your hand in, you can't see it. It's that brown. And that's what we swim in for lakes. And so getting out to that lake, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, look at this clear water. And we had the music on, and we were playing amazing music. And of course it just thumped, and my kids were surfing. My son actually went up and found a little 5-foot cliff to jump off of. So he did some cliff diving, you guys. Oh my God, like, bless his heart. It was the cutest thing. And just them tubing, like, their faces were smiling so big, they were going to crack off. And I'm sitting there on the back of the boat. And every time that happens, I'm blinking back tears, because I realize, you know, I did this for my kids, not anybody else. You know, I made the choice. I followed the vision. We did it together, and it worked. And it is so worth it. It's not easy. You have to work your flipping ASS off. Like there's no two ways about it. I basically fit in a lifetime worth of effort and work and obsession into 4 years to get to this level this quickly. But now I get to work my business whenever I want. Like, in those 4 years, I had to make sacrifices for sure. I missed my daughter's first dance recital ever to be at a conference. And yeah, this business is what I wanted to do, this business to be home with my family. So many people would ask me, but then you missed your daughter's dance recital. But guess what? I missed my daughter's dance recital, but I've been able to say yes to almost everything else. And so I do this business and I make sacrifices because I love my family, not because this business comes above my family. And honestly, there's not another business in the world that can give you the kinds of choices that this one does. And I believe in network marketing of all forms. And this is my favorite thing to say to somebody when I'm talking about with passion about what I do in network marketing is like, you know what? Network marketing is where it's at. You get to share a premium product that you believe in with people that you love and care about. You get to help people financially and with their wellness if you choose a wellness business. I mean, what don't you love about that? And here's the thing. If Juice Plus doesn't do it for you, who cares? I still am that passionate about network marketing. You've got to go out and find one that you can align with morally, that fits with who you are. If it's not Juice Plus, then go find one for God's sakes, because this is a plan B you will never regret. Like network marketing, if your belief isn't 10 out of 10 around network marketing, then that's where you need to work. If your belief isn't 10 out of 10 around the product, that's where you need to work. If your belief isn't 10 out of 10 about our business, our company, our marketing plan, that's where you need to work. So you really just need to get those 5 beliefs up, work on this every single day. If you're trying to get to national marketing director, like if you are one that's like, no, I'm an NMD, then you need to obsess over it. Like, I'm not kidding. I dreamt about Juice Plus constantly. I would wake up in the night with a notepad by my bed with ideas and visions and brainstorms that I would write down. Sometimes I wouldn't even sleep. If there was a big conference coming up, I was lucky to get like 2 or 3 hours of sleep a night. I'd be up and down, up and down, up and down. That's how obsessed I was. So that's what it takes to get to National Marketing Director or 100 Club. And it's totally, totally worth it, because now we've got this big, beautiful house, this big, beautiful yard. My kids are in any summer camp they want to be in. Soccer, you know, they just now I asked Lincoln, do you want to play football this year? And he said, yes. And I'm like, awesome, we can do that. He's listening to this and he knows it's provided so much choice for us. Like, it's worth it, guys. Because this is what it's all about. Just giving everyone choice to just have the highest quality experiences. It's not about money. Love you, Link.
Can we have highlights?
Yes. Comic relief. Ugh. So anyways, that's my story and that's my advice. And if you guys want to unmute and ask me any questions, go for it.
Thank you so much, Michelle, for sharing your story and bringing us into your home and your beautiful family. I'm crying now. I think everybody has tears in their eyes. That was so wonderful. So yeah, everyone, we're going to open it up to any questions that you may have. So feel free to unmute yourself. And, we have the amazing Michelle here. Take advantage and ask your questions.
I have a question. Michelle, thank you very much for sharing. And thank you very much for your Facebook post a few weeks ago about raspberries. I gave you props and I did similar post. Thank you very much for that, because you helped me explain to people, just breaking down the cost and just look at where you're spending $3 and $6, right? Mm-hmm. And you spend it so easily, like on your trunk. My goal, I've been with Juice Plus for just about 13 months now. I'm at SSC, and I wrote down when I met Nicole Scott a year ago that I was going to be NMD December 31st this year. I am full on game on like Donkey Kong. I told my boyfriend I'll see him. I'll go to bed December 31st.
That's awesome.
You make the sacrifices. This is my challenge. So I have a team, and I've got strong legs, and I've got a lot of like weaker legs. And I'm finding a challenge where I just feel like I'm giving a lot of energy to help those people along that don't want to help themselves. And I'm trying to figure out, how do I put on my father pants into my mother pants without hurting someone's feelings?
Yeah, I love talking on this topic. So Jay Martin always says, you can't raise the dead. And it's always, every problem in this business will be fixed by getting new, whether it's customers that want to cancel or distributors that don't want to do anything. Now, that being said, there is a place for fathering. And so that's one skill. Right in that time of transition when I was coming out of 12 Club, I recognized that I was only mothering. And that comes naturally to women. We don't even have to work at it, right? Like, good job. You're so amazing. Look what you did. That's just naturally pours out of us because we're nurturers. But fathering is harder. And so for me, where the fathering comes in, especially with a new rep, is in the startup meeting, you're going to father them around setting 3 events in 30 days. It's absolutely non-negotiable. Unless they tell me flat out, no, I'm only doing this for a family fun and I don't want to do those 3 events. It's my job to father them, because I'm not kidding. I have heard it time after time from rep after rep that says, I didn't even know what I was doing in the business. And I said no to some things I wish I would have said yes to. And I wish that somebody would have held me accountable to the system, because now I've exhausted my warm market. I didn't do it properly. And now I need this business and I don't know how to restart. So starting up a new rep, it's so important. Make them make their prospect list, make them send it to you, make them message 10 people, make them set those 3 events. So important. Get them to VF and then father them into getting into an event. Now, fathering is such an art, and it's something that you'll have to practice. Fathering them in a way of like, you have to get to an event because that's important, and you're never going to have a good business if you don't go to an event. That will lose you a leg instantly. I mean, that's not what I mean by fathering. What I mean by fathering is giving them an out, but providing accountability. So for example, hey, I know this event is coming up, and I know that you said it was your nephew's birthday, but I'm just wondering, is this business super important to you or not really? Like, where are you at? Because for me, I know what the power of events are. And I'm just wondering if you would allow me to kind of like guide you a little bit. Would you be willing to come to this event and celebrate your nephew's birthday before?
Okay. So you're kind of doing the if I would you.
A little bit, yeah.
Sorry, right? You're sort of doing the if I would you. Like I just did a startup meeting A with someone, and I could tell they're not ready for the business. And we didn't sign them up as a distributor. Mm-hmm. It's not her time. I could have put her in, and I could have put a lot of energy, but it's not her time.
Yeah.
And she respected me for saying you're not ready.
Yeah.
I felt bad, right?
Yeah. And I wouldn't ever limit somebody. If they're ready to sign up, they're ready to sign up. And I would always say, when you're ready to like actually go through and do this, let me know. But I think there's value in signing reps up, because maybe one time they will make it to an event and they're already a rep, and so I sign up a lot of people that aren't ready for it. And like, I'm probably 30 distributors wide, but I probably have, 10 or 11 SSC legs and maybe about, 4 or 5 other SC legs. So a lot of them did nothing, but you never quite know which ones are going to. even in the startup meeting. So that's something I would definitely say, let them sign up, do the system anyways. If they're not ready to set those 3 events, then just be like, let me know. I'm here for you when you're ready. I want to help you get the biggest discount you can get. Okay. That's my job.
Yeah. Because she did bring in a very big customer for me.
Mm-hmm.
She got a tower guard, and then she's overwhelmed by the fast track to VF.
Right.
So she's like, well, I guess I'm not ready. Let's not sign up. And so I was just wondering, okay. So thank you for that. That's helpful.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I have a question, Michelle. Thank you. Every time I hear your story, you make me cry. So there must be something that touches me every time. But
thank you.
So I think it's wonderful. But just when we're speaking about events, so you're saying, have them book their 3 events in 30 days. When you're talking about events with the new prospect, what kind of events are you talking about? Because I find that not everyone is willing to have like a live event or just,
you know what, if they're not willing to do the 3 events, then that just tells me where to spend my time. Like, I'm not mad if they don't want to do the 3 events. So what I have for the 3 events is 1 in-home party and 2 Facebook events in your first 30 days minimum. And if there's other stuff going on, like for example, and this is in the startup meeting too, right? Pull out their calendar, schedule in the upcoming regional, the upcoming Boss Babe, the upcoming, whatever the bigger events are, those are also expected. But at the very minimum, it's those 3 events. And so I'll give you an example of a girl, and she said, you know what, I do want this business, and you guys will so relate to this, but I have a trip to the Dominican coming up, plus I'm moving, so probably it's not going to happen right now, right? And I just said, okay, well, I'm just going to tell you, I'm free on the 24th or the 17th, just in case you would be open to doing it in-home. I'll do everything for you. All you got to do is invite people. I will say everything. And the only thing is, I really feel like you should have this event before you go on your trip, because it's going to be harder to catch momentum when you get back. But, and this is me letting her off the hook, if you're totally against having an event, of course I understand and I honor that. And so she was like, no, actually, now that I'm looking, the 17th works for me. And then I coached her really heavily around inviting. Don't waste your time inviting with a massive email. Personally message everybody. Tell them to leave their wallet at home. We actually call them leave your wallet at home parties now. Because it's like, hey, I started something new. I care about you. I want you to know the info. And then also I want to see you. And that's my only objective here. That way, you know what I'm doing and you're not going to resent me later if it is for you. And everybody comes. I coach them on inviting. I showed up to her living room. She had 15 people in that living room. And I was like, wow, for a girl who's moving and a girl who's going to the Dominican on Friday, that's amazing. We got her to VF that night and she's now in SSC.
Amazing. And so
that's what I mean about fathering.
And just one last question. When you're doing the in-home, because I'm hoping to do that with the next few people that I bring on, what are you talking about?
Okay, the in-homes are super, super simple, and every single one of our events is the same. You could come to a Boss Babe event, you could come to an in-home event, you could come to a smoothie event, a salad in a jar party. They're all the same. We just give them different names because it makes it easier to invite to them and give them a different theme. And and this is on our website too. It's called How to Do an Event.
Great.
And it's just this. Juice Plus is blah, blah, blah. You tell what it is. Crushed fruits and vegetables, vine ripened, raw, whole, that. The 3 reasons it's super powerful is that number 1, it's vine ripened. Number 2, it's whole food. Number 3, it's food synergy. I elaborate a little bit on that. There's 35 clinical studies behind this product that are done at highly renowned places of education. Yale, MD Cancer Institute, places like that. It's NSF certified to be chemical free, which I always say is better than organic because it's tested 8 times by the time it arrives in your house in Canada to make sure there's no pesticides, no herbicides, no molds, no heavy metals. It's incredible, the purity of this product. And it's so head and shoulders above what you're getting in the grocery store. I don't even know how they put it into a capsule for $3 a day or $3.25 a day. It always baffles me to figure out how they've done chemical-free raw fruits and vegetables, 30 of them daily for that amount. And then stories, 2 product stories, clear transition to the business. Hey, if the business isn't for you, no problem, but it's on my heart to share because it's changed my life in such a drastic way. And what if someone in the room needs this information I learned a long time ago, not to omit this because it's not fair to people. But that being said, if it's not for you, tune me out. Sing your favorite song in your head. Do whatever you need to do. It doesn't matter. But I am going to share about it. quickly share, debt-free, 10 billion in sales, been around for 40 years, product's been around for 20, incredible company that gives back all the time. And then I transition into my business story and another business story in the room. If nobody else is there to share a business story, I'll share another one for somebody. So it's always 2 product stories, clear transition to business, 2 business stories, and then the ABC close, which is you've powerful information. You can choose 3 choices. A, you're not ready to change anything. That's fine. B, you're ready to change your health and you want to get your family on Juice Plus. Amazing. C, you're ready to join the mission because we need help. We really need help because this is such important and powerful information. And then if that's the case, make sure you give us a hug because we are a family. That's what I always say.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle, we have another question here. Just wondering, for people that have reps that are not in their city that they live in, how do they create success and support them?
Sorry, can you ask that again? Because I was busy looking at the side of the chat here.
We have someone asking for new reps that are not in the city that they live in, how to create success and support and give support to them.
So like you're in a different city than your upline?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can easily answer that. Everybody always thinks, oh, like I don't have good upline and, or my upline's not around, or they're really busy and they did it. When I started, my upline had just got a major concussion. So she was down and out and I didn't even meet her for years, or not for years, sorry, for months. And Sandy and I were brand new. So we didn't know what the heck we were doing. So we just sort of decided that we had to do this regardless. And we called head office for guidance. We reached out to sidelines for guidance. Can somebody explain to us what SC means? Can someone tell to us how to get to SSC? Like just getting guidance where. And so as soon as I had a map of what to do, then I just took it as my responsibility to do events all the time. And then once my upline was around more, then we started like, okay, hey, like, can you coach me? I need this or this. And I started reaching out. Obviously she had a medical condition, so she wasn't engaged at that time, but when she was willing to. And so I just say like, hook up to sidelines in the area, open your mouth. Like there's nothing in this business that can't be fixed with slop. And so that's my favorite acronym ever. And if whether your front line is flat and they're not doing anything, your customer base is flat, you're losing customers, cancellations are happening, slop will fix everything. And it's talk to a shitload of people. And that's it. Literally, that's the only thing that earns us money in this business. Whether you're doing it over Facebook, you're doing it at swimming lessons, you're doing it on the phone, you talk to people. It's like literally the only thing that we get paid for. And in the beginning, I mean, I was putting myself way out of my comfort zone. I would get home and I'm an introvert by nature. I want to get into my house and busy myself with my family. But I would see my neighbor outside and be like, and so I would like, cause I'd have to go over and talk to her, and that's awkward for me. And everybody thinks I'm such an extrovert and I'm not. So I'd be like, hi, how's it going? And like, I would rather take a carrot peeler to my skin than start a like small talk conversation with somebody. Like I like deep conversations. Let's talk about like love and passion and sex and travel, but I don't want to talk about the weather. Please God, don't make me talk about the weather. But that's what it takes, right? You have to start those conversations with new people. Start asking them questions. Start getting them talking. Quickly, my neighbor in that situation I'm thinking about started talking about her son who was having behavior issues. Well, ding, 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 that's my in, right? And I always say, hey, I don't know if this would be for you or not. So I let them off the hook, which is really important in all approaches. But have you ever heard of Juice Plus? And she was like, no, what is it? I'm like, oh, it's amazing. It's fruits and vegetables and a chewable. It's free for kids. And for my son, it made a massive difference in his behavior, massive. And he loves it. She was like, oh my God, do you have like info on it? And wanted to know all about it. And she ordered and became a rep and was a qualified leg for me right away.
Do you have any book recommendations? I'm looking for something to help me develop as a leader, get more fathery. Is there anything other, I've done the network marketing. I've read the Eric Worre. I'm looking for something that's more geared towards developing yourself as a leader.
Okay. 2 books come to mind. Number 1, Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek.
Okay.
Really good book. Oof. Goosebumps all the time, the whole time it was playing. really, really about leadership, developing a community, a home, making everybody feel safe and belonging. That's what our strength is in our team. Like, if somebody doesn't perform, we still love them. We still they're welcome at every event. There's no you're not an SC, so you're not invited. It is a home here, regardless of what happens. So really, really digging into that side of leadership. And the other one is The Gifts of Imperfections by Brené Brown. And I love everything by Brené Brown, but specifically I'm bringing this one up for leadership because this business is a personal development course disguised as a business, right? It really is. And the reason that is because we have imperfections. We don't like our imperfections. We like to hide them and feel perfect. And that's just human nature. And that's actually how society has taught us to be. So when we get a rep that triggers us into our imperfection, quite often we'll go into shame. And shame will do one of two things. It will either make you turtle and go away from your business, or it will make you come up swinging. And for me, when I go into shame, if somebody does something that triggers me into I'm not a good enough leader, I didn't do good enough in that or whatever, I come up swinging. I can be really nasty in shame. So Brené Brown taught me all kinds of techniques where I haven't come up swinging in years because of her book. And it's made me such a better leader because I can truly lead from the heart without my ego getting in the way.
Awesome. Thank you again, Michelle, so much for taking the time out to talk to us and share your story. You're such an inspiring woman. And I know everyone on this call was probably just as excited to talk to you and to hear from you as I was. So thank you again.